Hello guys and welcome back to another episode. So today we're going to talk about Fury Warriors in PvE. So we're going through the stats, the talents, the rotation. So basically after you watch this guide you will be able to play Fury Warrior on a pretty good level. I'm not saying you will be the professional guy who would know everything 100%, but you're going to be very good, sustained, you know what to do, and you can of course upgrade from that. So let's just dive directly into it and let's go through the stats. So the most important stat is of course strange. And now you're saying, wow, what do you mean with strange, and why do you say strange? It's on all our gear. No, it's not on all your gear. You can basically get a trinket where it either have haste or it has strange. And if you have those two options and they have the same eye level, then you go with strange. Boom, strange. After strange, it's haste. Haste is the most powerful thing for you as a Fury Warrior. It increases your attack speed with your weapon, it increases the rage generation of your spells, and the more rage you have, the more enrage you have. And the more enrage you have, the more damage you have. So haste is the best thing you can get after strange. So now you're thinking, what about after haste? Mastery. And why? Because we have this one here. Increased damage done while enraged. So strange of course to make you strong. Haste to get more enrage. And what's perfect after getting more enrage? More damage in enrage. Boom. So first of all, strange, haste, mastery. So after strange, haste, mastery, it's like vitality and crit are both very good, but just take the vitality after mastery, because vitality will also increase your self-healing, equal you will have better chance surviving in raids, so on, and increase your damage. And I mean, critical strike is not really being used for, I know, critical strike, of course it's nice when you crit, but it's not a big deal for Fury Warriors. It's the last one you should pick. So go with strange, haste, mastery, vitality, and if you really need it, well, take a critical strike. So that's basically the stats, pretty much. Let's go through the talents. So first of all, we have all the first row here up with level 15. So we have the level 15 up here. So War Machine and Fresh Meat is not really preferred in, you can say, PvE with dungeons and raids. Endless Rage overall will give you a better overall sustain, because every time you enrage you get more rage, you gain 6 rage whenever you enrage, and that's pretty much because then you have an extra rage to actually rage again. I mean, every time you get rage you want to use Rampage, and the more you can use Rampage the better DPS you get. So Endless Rage is a pretty good one for you, because if you use Bloodthirst and you're enrage, well, if you enrage and rage, then you get 6 rage. I mean, that's pretty good. And of course Fresh Meat sounds nice because it increases the chance for Bloodthirst will trigger enrage, and it deals and it heals for 20% more damage. Sorry, it's not, I know the randomness of getting 15% more is nice, but nah, don't take it. Just keep with Endless Rage, everything should be good. The next one here is not really, it's up to you. I mean, personally I like to have Stormbolt in Mythic Dungeons because I like to have the stun on enemies. So I have Pummel and I have a stun on trash mobs. But in a raid I probably go with double time, because you will have 2 charges. That means you have 2 times you can generate 20 rage. That's pretty cool to have 2 times charge, so we kill 40 rage. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. So the next one down here, Inner Rage is the easiest talent to play with. It's the easiest one, the most flow rotation. So if you just want to shut off and just want to play a face rolling class, Inner Rage is the one for you. If you want to have the best single target, Sudden Death, I would say, is the best for you. Fury Slash can also be really good, Personally, I think sudden death is made better and deal more damage on single target, and actually also on cleave, because when this one procs and you can use execute, you can first use a Whirlwind, and the next time you will use a spell, it will deal damage up to the next 4 targets. And that's pretty cool. I mean, so sudden death will probably be the preferred one, I would say, but Fury Slash that increase your haste up to 3 stacks, it's a total of 6%, is also great, but it adds another spell into your rotation you have to put in. So already now you can see I have 7 spells down here I'm using for damage. If I use Fury Slash, I will have 8 spells to use for damage, actually 9 with Dragon's Roar. So, but again, sudden death is my favorite one. You can of course go to Fury Slash, but I would say sudden death. Mwah. The next one down here, I would actually say Warpaint, because if you're playing right, then you should be in enrage almost all the time. You should have enrage on yourself all the time, because enrage increases your attack speed and damage, so that means you should be in enrage all the time. So if you are in enrage all the time, well, then you also take 10% reduced damage. That's pretty much. That will help your healers to actually keep you alive. Bounding Stride is not. It can be useful in a mythic dungeon. Furious Charge should not be used because you're not really responsible for healing yourself. Someone else out there is responsible for healing you. So yeah, so Warpaint will be the one to make everyone happy and help healing you. So for the next one, the next row down here, Carnage is the meta of this row. Carnage is just the one you go with no matter what. It's just capiche, boom, Carnage. Frothing Berserker is a spell that actually can have a nice burst, but it's not on a long-term boss, it's not worth. On a short-term boss like open world or something, or island, it can be cool, but Carnage is the best one overall. The next one down here, Meat Cleaver, I'll never take it. Never take it. Dragon's Roar is actually the best one for single target damage. Bladestorm is the best one for burst on AoE. So if you have like 5-6 trash mobs you just want to burst down, Bladestorm is the best one if you use first a Rampage, so you go into enrage, then use a Bladestorm, and it's perfect. Dragon's Roar is also perfect on trash mobs, but it's also the best one on single target. So I would prefer go always with Dragon's Roar, maybe go with Bladestorm in a Mythic Plus dungeon, but Dragon's Roar will be the one I would go for single target 100%. Because Bladestorm, 3.6 seconds you will be locked for just spinning around, but Dragon's Roar is stealing half of the damage of Bladestorm instantly, and it has only half of the same cooldown. So that means basically when it's ready again, you have actually, when Bladestorm is ready, you actually have almost used 2 Dragon's Roar, the same damage as a Bladestorm, but at the same time you could actually damage on the same time, because Bladestorm will lock you for 3 seconds where you cannot do anything, but the other one, Dragon's Roar, will allow you to actually damage while at the same time. So Dragon's Roar is definitely the best for single target, and I would also say for multi-target, but Bladestorm is an excellent one for a big burst on cleave. The last row, so as you can heard here, pretty much everything here is pretty straightforward, kind of straightforward. The last row here is a row that is really discussed. I have tried to read a lot of forums, website, to see which one is actually the best one, and the outcome I see for everyone is saying, and probably what I also think, Reckless Abandon is giving you the best burst right now, because when you use Recklessness as your damage ability, well, damage cooldown, you get 100 rage, and you will be ready to use Rampage ASAP and go into enrage and use a lot of rage to just deal a lot of damage on short time, and also it increases seconds, 4 seconds. So it's a great spell to just burst, boom, right now. Anger Management should actually be the best one over time, but it requires higher eye level. Lower eye level, where you can see here almost all of your spells here, you can see here, this one here, this one here, this one here, is green. That means the more haste, the more lower cooldown of them. Agent Management is actually the one that is best for high eye level. So high eye level, Agent Management is good, but low eye level, it's not really preferred. Siege Breaker is a great spell. It gives you a damage window, so that means next you use it, you deal a lot of damage. You deal like the half of a Dragon Roar, and for the next 10 seconds you deal 50% damage to the target for 10 seconds. So that means every 30 seconds you will get a 10-second damage window. So Siege Breaker is helping you a lot with your damage, but Agent Management is lowering the cooldown of your recklessness. So what do you want? Do you want a Siege Breaker that gives you a damage window and an additional spell you have to think about? Or Agent Management that will lower your recklessness pretty much half of the cooldown off, so you can burst even more? Or do you want a big burst just fast, and after the burst it's pretty much done? So it's kind of big discussion, but everyone is almost saying Agent Management or Siege Breaker is the best, so they're kind of dealing between these two. I would probably prefer myself going with Agent Management, but I have seen a lot play with Siege Breaker. So that's kind of, I will actually say to you, it's up to you to find out if you want to use Agent Management or Siege Breaker. But for this time, let's go with Agent Management. So that was pretty much the stats, the talents, and now up to rotation. So, as a Fury Warrior, the most important thing for you is trying to enrage. Every time you use Bloodthirst, you have a 30% chance to enrage. Every time you use Rampage, you will always enrage. And when you enrage, your damage increase by 28, and haste by 25, and movement speed by 10. And as you can see here, your mastery is increasing the damage while you enrage. Haste is, well, helping you to attack faster. You have dual wield, and it also increased, you can say, the speed of how much rage you get, and it lowers the cooldown of your spells down here. So your main mission is actually in the rotation to get 75 rage ASAP, so you can use Rampage and enrage. Also, Rampage deals a lot of damage. So as you can see, Bloodthirst is 4000 damage, Raging Blow 4000 damage, Whirlwind 2000 damage, Rampage 12,000 damage. It's a lot. So if I go up here, so you could pretty much say your main rotation is that first of all you would use a charge, then you would use a Bloodthirst, and hopefully you would get an enrage. I didn't get an enrage, so it's bad, but I actually got a sudden death because I'm playing with sudden death. That means I can use execute now and deal a big damage. And again I got it, sudden death, and now I actually have enough rage to use Rampage, so I will use Rampage, and now I got enraged and increased my damage and speed. So now I will pretty much just follow my rotation. So we can just take it slow again. So first of all, charge, use Bloodthirst, use 2 times Raging Blow. So charge, Bloodthirst, Raging Blow, Raging Blow. And if you don't have enough rage yet for using Rampage, use 1 more Bloodthirst, and now you should be able to use Rampage and follow the same rotation again. So pretty much everything you want to do is use Bloodthirst every time you can, use Raging Blow when nothing else to do, and use Rampage when it's up. Because you would want to try to keep up your rage, well, your enrage all the time. Your main mission is to hold up enrage all the time. So try to get as much as rage as possible, and try to use Bloodthirst and Raging Blow, of course, every time you can, to get more rage, so you can use Rampage. So the most important thing for you is just, it's not like in old days with warriors where you have to use rage. Now you're actually building up 75 rage to use it on Rampage. So you're going to charge, Bloodthirst, Raging Blow, and this time I actually got an Enrage from Bloodthirst. And now I can use Rampage, boom, back to my rotation, damage, 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 Rampage. And now I got a sudden death, that means I can use Execute, very important you use it, but only use it if you have Enrage. You should try to only use it when you have Enrage, because it will increase damage of 29% based on your mastery. So try to use Rampage first and then sudden death. Of course now I don't have it, so now I will just follow my normal rotation, get enough rage, use Rampage, sudden death, boom. So I would say it's a pretty easy rotation. Use your Bloodthirst and Raging Blow when you don't have enough rage. When you have enough rage to use Rampage, use it so you can try to stay in rage as much as possible. That is your main mission. Stay in rage as much as possible. So you have this Recklessness spell that is your main cooldown for damaging. It increases the generation of your rage by 100 and increases the critical strikes of 20. That means when I use this one here and use my spells, I pretty much get full rage all the time. So you can see full rage, and you can pretty much just spam Rampage as much as possible. So you can have up your Enrage all this, well, you can say 10 seconds of this cooldown. You can pretty much have Rampage and Enrage going up all the time. So it's a pretty good cooldown, and you should always use it in start of the fight to get in. Then you also have either Dragon Roar or Blade Storm. Just use it when you can. Well, when you can, I would probably say use it. Let me see here. Where was it? Yeah. So you're probably thinking you want to use Dragon Roar as the first thing at all, so you can be ready for one more cooldown. But the thing is that Enrage is increasing the damage of your spells. So if you use Enrage, if you have Enrage on and use Dragon Roar will deal 20% more damage, 29% more damage, and you want that. You really want that. So again, charge, Bloodthirst, use Rampage when can, and now I can use Dragon Roar. Boom. So you want to use Execute and Dragon's Roar every time you have Enrage active. And every time you can use Rampage, just blow it off as much as possible, because it's dealing 12k damage and it's insane. So get up that rage, wait with Execute, Rampage, Execute. So now you're thinking, okay mister, what about Whirlwind? When should we actually use Whirlwind? So Whirlwind is a spell you would only use if you really don't have anything else to do. If Bloodthirst, Raging Blow, Dragon Roar, Rampage, Execute, everything is no rage or on cooldown, then you would use Whirlwind as a last stand spell. You will only use Whirlwind in really last situation because you don't have anything else to do. But if you're facing more than 2 targets, well actually if you're just facing more than 1, so if it's +2 targets, then you actually want to use Whirlwind, because when you use Whirlwind, you get this buff for 20 seconds. Your next single target attack strikes up to 4 additional targets for 50% of the damage. That means if I go down here, and this is really cool, and use Rampage, it deals Rampage to 4 of the nearest targets for 50% of the damage. That's insane, but it only works for the next 2 spells, so that means I would have to use Whirlwind, then I can use 2 spells, and then Whirlwind again. So this is how you would be number 1 damage on a lot of trash mobs, or on a boss fight where you have to cleave. So what you have to do is then keep up the Whirlwind buff. So Whirlwind, now you have 2 stacks, use 2 spells, Whirlwind again, use 2 spells. So the only reason for why I would ever use Whirlwind is because I'm cleaving, or if I have nothing else to do. That is pretty much everything. And just a reminder, remember you're a warrior, you have a buff, You have Battle Shout, use it so everyone gets 10% more attack power, or everyone will hurt you. So I hope you enjoyed this little Fury Warrior guide. I mean, I enjoy playing Fury Warrior. I think it's a really fun spec. It's a really fun and fast-paced spec. It's probably the most fast-paced spec I have ever played. Everything is just so fast and furious, and it's a really great spec. So if you haven't tried it, I can highly recommend it. So thank you guys for watching this guide. We got through the stats, the talents, the rotation, and how you can play it properly Fury Warrior. So leave down a comment if you have any questions, or if you have other opinions and you might think I'm a bad person or anything. Leave down a comment, tell me what you're thinking after seeing this video. If it's good, let me know. If it's bad, let me know. Tell me anything. So thank you guys for watching. I enjoyed making this video. Really love the spec. Thank you so much. See ya.